You've been scrolling through endless TV specs, wondering if any of them actually make life easier, not just sound impressive on paper. You want a screen that feels effortless in a small living room, that shows movies the way the directors intended, and that won't suddenly become a headache when a new game console lands on the coffee table. That hesitation is real. Spending a few $100s on a TV that looks gorgeous in the showroom but ends up demanding constant tweaking can feel like a gamble. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The LG 42-inch Class OLED evo AI 4K C5 series tries to solve that gamble by marrying LG's reputation for deep blacks with a suite of AI-driven tools that promise to handle most of the fine-tuning for you. The first thing I did was watch a couple of favorite shows ** Stranger Things * in Dolby Vision, a classic 1970s film in Filmmaker mode, and then jump into a fast-paced shooter on my PlayStation 5. What struck me was how little I needed to adjust the picture. The TV's AI picture wizard asked a few simple questions about my lighting and viewing distance, then settled on a balanced tone that kept the neon glow in the series vivid without washing out the shadows. In a room where the lights are sometimes on, sometimes off, that kind of set-and-forget behavior is a real time saver. If you're the type of buyer who likes to dive into menus, fiddle with color wheels, and chase the perfect contrast ratio, you'll probably still find a place for you here. The C5 gives you access to a full picture-by-picture mode, custom HDR settings, and a separate gaming profile that turns off most processing to keep input lag under 10 milliseconds. That's a nice safety net for enthusiasts who want that extra control. But for most people, the real value comes from the way the TV does the heavy lifting automatically. One practical strength that shows up in everyday use is the perfect black and perfect color claim, which isn't just marketing fluff. Because OLED panels can turn each pixel completely off, you really do get those inky blacks that make a dark scene feel immersive. When I watched a nighttime chase sequence, the shadows stayed true to the director's intent, and the bright highlights like streetlights and explosions popped without any blooming. The result is a picture that feels cinematic without you having to constantly raise the contrast or tweak the backlight. The AI upscaling is another spot where the TV proves useful. Most of us still have a library of 1080p Blu-rays and even older DVDs. LG's Alpha 9 processor scans each frame, predicts missing detail, and feeds a 4K output that feels sharper than the original source. In a side-by-side test with a regular 1080p TV, the upscaled image retained more texture on a nature documentary's leaves and showed cleaner lines on an older sitcom. It's subtle, but over a marathon of mixed-resolution content, it adds up to a less tiring viewing experience. Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision are headline features, but they matter in concrete ways. If you have a soundbar that supports Atmos, the TV's built-in processing can direct height-based audio cues, making a helicopter fly over your living room feel more realistic. I tried a Netflix title with a bustling cityscape, and the sound seemed to come from above as well as around, adding depth without any extra speaker. For those who don't have a dedicated Atmos system, the TV still outputs a robust stereo mix that sounds fuller than a typical TV speaker set. Gaming on the C5 is surprisingly smooth. The ultimate gaming label isn't just about low input lag, it also includes support for variable refresh rate, VRR, and auto low latency mode, ALLM. When I switched to my console, the TV automatically switched to the gaming preset, and the frame rate stayed steady even during fast camera pans. That means you won't notice stutter or ghosting, which can be a deal breaker for competitive players. The only downside I noticed was the slight risk of burn-in if you leave static HUD elements on for extended periods. LG's pixel shift and log illuminance detection help, but with a 42-inch panel you'll want to avoid leaving a static menu open for days on end. Now, who should actually buy this 42-inch OLED? First, anyone moving into a smaller apartment or a secondary bedroom where a massive 65-inch screen would dominate the space. The size hits that sweet spot, large enough to feel immersive, small enough to fit on a modest wall or a simple TV stand. Second, families that watch a mix of movies, sports, and video games will appreciate the AI's ability to adapt on the fly without a lot of manual recalibration. Third, anyone who cares about image quality but doesn't want to become a full-time picture engineer will love the automatic modes that still let you dig deeper if you choose. On the flip side, skip this model if you're on an ultra-tight budget. OLED panels carry a premium, and while the 42-inch version is cheaper than its bigger siblings, it still sits above many LED alternatives that can deliver.